Yeah.
Are you sure? No.
Okay. Okay. No, never mind. You just explained me the budget deficit.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just from, Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm. So, for example, next day you went to the party and everything. The cake was for 50 rupees and the pizza was for 60 rupees and 10 rupees the ketchups and all that, right? So, in
Hmm.
total, what is your bill? It is 120, right? What is your budget? It is 100 rupees, but this is 120. The bill is 120. But at that time, what you will do, like it's a like the difference. Your budget is 100 and now the bill is 120. So this 20 rupees is deficit, which is the extra like out of your budget, right? So what
Hmm.
you will do for this 20 rupees, either you will purchase it from, like you will borrow it from your friend, right? That, okay, like just add 20 rupees, tomorrow I'll just return it to you, like this.
Hmm.
So what
Yeah.
is budget deficit? Budget deficit is defined as the excess of total expenditure. How much excess you it is? 20 rupees extra, right? Over the total estimated revenue. Okay. And then revenue is basically your mother gave you this and this is your expenditure, right? This is your revenue because you got money, right? And
Yes.
this is your expenditure. So when over when your expenditure is more as compared to your revenue, right? So that is known as budget deficit. Okay. So for, because this you are dealing with government budget, so when the government expenditure exceeds its revenue, it incur a budgetary deficit. Clear?
Yes.
It can be of three types. Now from here they will be asking you the numericals. That's why this is important. First, revenue
Okay.
deficit, it is total expenditure minus total revenue receipt. Then fiscal deficit, it is total expenditure minus total receipt, excluding borrowing. This is very important. Sometimes if this total expenditure and total receipt are not given, right? So at that time, fiscal deficit is equals to borrowing. Clear?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus interest payment. So now what you are going to do, first you will read this and then in your notebook you will write all this formula. Okay, because today you'll be solving the numerical, so you need formula. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
first read this, then we'll discuss the formulas again.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
So first of all, it's you will write this formula, then one by one we'll be discussing it. Okay. Then before
Okay.
doing this, you have to understand the implication of revenue deficit and the measure to reduce it. Then the fiscal deficit will be doing. Okay. See,
Yes, ma'am.
first formula is to find revenue deficit. Okay, just write this formula. Okay. And after
Okay.
that, we will do some theory part and then we will do the numerical part. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just write the formulas.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Now let's just do, first of all, we'll be doing the theory part. Okay, revenue deficit, you
Yes,
already
ma'am.
know what is this. It's a difference, right? Now in paper, they sometimes ask you the implication, like why revenue deficit is important, why
One
we
minute,
need to
ma'am.
calculate. Hmm? You were saying something? Simla, you are on mute if you are saying something.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to sneeze.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yes.
Imran Siddiqui. Who's this now? Wait a minute. I hope we have joined the right link. Yeah, we have joined the right link. Then who is this Imran Siddiqui? Okay, I think he left. So now implication of revenue deficit. So revenue deficit indicate the inability. So over here revenue deficit is, first we will read the formula. Okay, revenue deficit, what is it? It is total expenditure minus total revenue. Okay, so
Yes.
for example, your whatever your expenditure is 120, right? And your revenue is 100 rupees. Okay, so
Yes.
you can see over here what it is showing. It is showing this inability of the government to meet the expenditure. Like it is showing that okay, though you organized a party but you were unable, right, to to exercise the party in a very good way, right? So
Hmm.
similarly, for example, government revenue is 100 rupees and whatever expenditure they are doing, the cost is 120 rupees. That means government is unable to meet the expenditure on the routine functioning of the economy, right? So this shows the inability of the government, that government is not capable.
Yes.
Then second, it implies this saving. Now what government has to do? Like for example, over here in your piggy bank, you have some money, right? Either you will borrow or you will use your piggy bank, right? So over
Yes.
here, that means you will be doing this saving, right? So it
Hmm.
implies this saving on government account because government is using up savings of other sector of an economy to cover the gap between the revenue expenditure and the revenue receipt, right? For example,
Yes.
over here, what government decided that 100 rupees will be doing here, 200 rupees in this sector, 300 rupees here sector, but this was the budget. But similarly, like this was for 120 rupees, so government will be using the money from some other sector, right? So
Yes.
that means this saving. And next is, it implies that government has to make up the deficit by distributing its capital budget either through borrowing or the sale. Your government need money, so government can borrow, right? Or government will sell its assets, right? It
Hmm.
means that the revenue deficit either leads to increase in liability in the form of borrowing or reduces the asset through the sale of the asset. That means it leads to disinvestment. Clear? These are the implications. First implication, that it is showing that government is incapable. Second, it leads to dissaving. Third, it leads to disinvestment as well as increases the liability of the government. Third,
Government.
use of capital receipt may lead to an inflationary situation in the economy. It is wasteful expenditure by the government is not controlled. So over here, if government will, uh, uh, keep on doing this, that will leads to an inflationary situation in the country. Like government, there will be no money, right? And automatically, when there is no money, then automatically prices rise, right? So this is
Yes.
what. And over here, because of higher borrowing, right? Higher borrowing will increase the future burden to repay the loan. You are taking loan. One time will come that you don't have enough loan, right? At that time, you have to repay the same, right? So this can create the issue. Yeah, these are the implications. So if they ask you, revenue deficit leads to what? Then inability of the government, this savings, liability increases, this assets reduces, which is disinvestment, plus inflationary situation can come, plus the future burden of the loans can occur. So quickly read it. It is very important. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll do the next one, which is now again the problem is there, right? So of course you need to solve this problem. What you will do to solve this or reduce this revenue deficit. So first of all, you have two things. Either you can reduce it with the help of public or through the you want money, right? So
Okay.
either government will take money from public or government will try to find out the way through which government can increase its revenue. So how through now what government was doing earlier, for example, government was giving subsidies, and all that. So now government will reduce the public expenditure. Okay. And one more thing,
Yes.
Simja, like see, this is over here we are covering this, and every Friday you have to join, right, the class.
Ma'am.
I hope you are not getting the link. How you are getting the link,
Yes, ma'am. The thing is,
right?
it is
Mm-hmm.
2 o'clock here. It's when I usually eat and my I offer salah and all. So that's
Okay.
hmm.
So is there any alternative you can
Timetable as
join,
well.
like it will be 2:30 at your place, right?
I guess two
No,
o'clock or 2:30. I guess yeah.
1.5 difference is it?
Two and a three.
Okay, so that means it will be, I think, I keep at 5. So 5 will be, I think, 1:30.
It will be 2:30, ma'am. Right.
Yes. 2:30, then 3:30, 4:30, yes, 2:30.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think, so
But
see,
I'll
if you are
join,
not,
ma'am.
yeah,
But
okay,
I'll
see, in
join.
case
I'll
you are
try.
like little bit late, you can just offer your prayers and all that, right?
Hmm.
And whenever you are getting, because I take 2 hour class, right? So
Okay.
from 2:30 to 4:30 I'm taking, right? So for
Okay.
example, if you can join at 3, at least you will get something,
Right.
right? So whenever, like in between 2:30 to 4:30, whenever you're getting the time, do join that, because that's very important. We are discussing the sample paper,
Yes.
and at the end, like you also need the quick revision thing, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Okay. Now over here, what government will be doing? Government needs money. So of course, what government will do? Government will do the reduce the public expenditure. Like government will not give subsidies to anyone. Government will not distribute the free ration. Like the wasteful expenditure, like subsidies and all this. Plus the non-plan expenditure, they will reduce it. Okay.
Hmm.
Then next is measure to increase the revenue are increase in existing tax rate and impose of new taxes. Now government needs money. So government will, for example, earlier you have to pay 10% tax, right? Government will increase that 10% tax to 20%, or government will add few new taxes, right? So because of this, now government will get more money. Plus over here, to increase the income for public expenditure, government will find the way so that government sector will get more and more money. Plus tax evasion should be controlled. Tax evasion is basically there are a lot of people who don't pay tax, right? So earlier it was okay, but now government will be more strict that nobody should evade the tax. Clear?
Hmm. Right.
So quickly read it and then we'll do the next one.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to fiscal deficit, over here you have the formula. You will add this formula. See, in total expenditure, you have two things. One is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure, and total receipt. You have again two things: revenue receipt and capital receipt. Clear?
Shall I write this formula as well?
Yes. Yeah. This is a part
Okay.
of. See, sometimes they will be giving you total expenditure, but in case total expenditure is not given, so you have to find this revenue expenditure and capital. When you will add these two, total expenditure will be there, and when you will add these two, total receipt will be there. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. Now after this, again you have fiscal deficit. So that means your total expenditure and total receipt, right? So again there's a problem. So what does this mean? First of all, debt trap will be there. Debt trap is very important. Sometimes in one marker also they ask you. This is basically what you will debt trap is. You will read it, okay? And let me just explain you. For example, over here you took 100 rupees loan from someone. Okay. See, whenever you take loan from someone, you have to pay it along with the interest, right? So over here, what you did, you took 100 rupees loan, right? And once you took the 100 rupees loan, then you are paying it to them. 100 plus 50. That means the tax. Okay. So what happened at that time? Now your earnings are not good. You earn only 100 rupees, right? So what you will be doing? Tell me that now this 100 you have to pay them back, right? So this 50 rupees you will take from someone else, right?
Yes.
Yes. So then you paid them. Now this for 50 rupees again you have to pay 20 rupees tax. Right? So again next month your income was only 50 rupees. So again this 20 rupees you will take it from someone else. Right? So that
Yes.
means you are in a trap now. Right? You cannot come out of debt. Why? Because again to pay the previous tax, previous debt, you have to take loan from someone else. So now you are in a trap. That again and again you have to pay it, you have to take loan, you have to take loan, you have to take loan. Right? So that cost because of
Yes.
fiscal deficit. Then foreign dependence. Over here you are depending on the other countries that okay, they will give you the money and then you will run your country, right? So over here this is the situation. And sometimes what happen, it leads to dictatorship. Dictatorship means, for example, I have given you money, right? So sometimes I will be like, Shimja, do this, do that, right? Because somewhere you have like I have so many, you can say, I have so many favors on you, right? Because I have given you money,
Yes.
right? So sometimes the country who gives loans to the country, they try to interfere in their policies and they tries to dictate. It's like it depends on the person. For example, I have given you money, I may not dictate on you or maybe dictate on you, right? It's my personal choice, right? Similarly with countries, either they can dictate or they will not, right? Clear?
Yes.
Hmm. Then cause inflation. Because of this inflation happens because right now the government don't have money in the country, right? So over here when you don't have money, what happen? Prices will be high, right? Because people know, right? So causes inflation. Plus financial
Yes.
burden for future generation. Now for example, currently the government is there. After every 5 years government change, right? So five government took loan here, and right now like after 5 year, like they will leave, some other government will become, like the future government will be there again, but loan will be there, government has to pay the loan, the new government also. For example, your grandfather took loan, right? And now like he is like he passed away, Okay, like my grandfather took loan and he passed away, right?
Hmm.
Now, of course, the loan is there. Who will be, who will be paying that loan? My father, right? So
Yes.
similarly, what happens? The generation to generation and pass away, right? Is passed to generation. So basically, my father didn't took loan. My grandfather did, but still, my father has to pay it. So basically, it's a burden, right? Financial burden,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So because of this, financial burden for future generation takes place. Clear?
Yes.
Hmm. So now you will do implications of fiscal deficit. Just read it.
Yes. Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Now the next one. How you will do that? Again, public expenditure and the increase in revenue. The same thing, right? Because deficit are the same thing. Quickly read it and then we'll do the next.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now last one. Primary deficit. It is basically fiscal deficit minus interest payment. But for example, over here, you don't have any fiscal deficit. So primary deficit will be equal to your interest payment. You have to only pay the interest, right?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll do the implication. So over here, primary deficit is defined as the fiscal deficit minus interest payment on the previous borrowing. Therefore, it indicates the amount of borrowing, right? So with the help of primary deficit, you get to know like from where you have taken the loan and how much borrowing you have and how much, indicate the amount of borrowing required to meet the expenditure other than the interest payment, right? So how primary deficit tell you that how much you need to borrow so that you can, control this deficit. Okay. And this
Yes.
one I already told you, fiscal deficit refers to borrowing inclusive of interest payment. Primary deficit refers
Yeah.
to borrowing requirement exclusive of interest payment. It implies that if primary deficit is zero, then the fiscal deficit is equals to the interest payment. Clear? Which
Yes.
indicates that the interest payment on the previous loan have led to borrowing. Clear?
Yes.
Quickly read it and then we'll do the measures.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now, the measures. So, measures to reduce primary deficit. Primary deficit indicates borrowing required, like how much you need the borrowing. And plus, over here to reduce the fiscal deficit. See, if you want to reduce the primary deficit, the fiscal deficit, first of all, the interest payment should be reduced through the repayment of loan as early as possible, and automatically your primary deficit will be reduced.
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
Now, whatever we have done today, just quick, I'm giving you 5 minutes, quickly revise it, then we'll start with the numericals. Okay.
Okay. Are you gonna scroll down and I should go through everything or?
Yes, I'll scroll it down.
Okay.
Okay, especially the implications. Okay, the budget deficit, this you don't. Just read the implication again because I don't want any confusion over there.
Okay. Yes. Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now the last one. This the same thing, so don't read it again. Just read these. Okay. Then one more thing we skipped. We need to focus over there. I'll tell you.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now one more thing. This budgetary expenditure. We did revenue part, capital revenue and that, but we didn't did the budgetary expenditure. You remember?
Yes.
Right? We didn't did this, right? We only discuss about revenue. But
Hmm.
expenditure we only discuss. We didn't did
Hmm.
in detail.
Right.
Like what is revenue and what is capital, like that. Right?
Yes.
So today we'll be doing that. Okay. It's very
Okay.
important. Budgetary expenditure, it refers to estimated expenditure of the government on its development and non-development programs or on its plan and non-plan program during a fiscal year. Okay. So over here, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure, development expenditure, non-development plan and non-plan. So let's just study this one by one. Revenue expenditure and the capital expenditure. So those expenditure do not create asset for the government. For example, over here, government is giving the money to the people like the old age pension or the retired pension, right? So the people, they are not doing anything, but still government is doing it, na? So when you spend the money, what will happen when you are spending your money? Either your asset will increase, right, or your liability will fall, right? For example, you purchased a car, so over there you gave money, so your asset increased. For example, you are repaying the loan, your liability is decreasing, right? But over here
Yes.
you are doing the expenditure, you are paying the expenditure, old age pension, unemployment allowance and all that, but still nothing is happening, right? Either not, either asset is also not increasing, nor your liability is reducing, so that is your revenue expenditure. It do not create asset for the government. Clear?
Yes.
And then it do not cause any reduction in the liability of the government, like salaries, scholarship, subsidies. They are not reducing the liability, right? And these
Yes.
expenditure are recurring in nature. See, every month you have to give the pension, every year you have to give the scholarship, right? So these are recurring in nature. But coming to capital expenditure, these creates assets for the government. Example, expenditure on construction of building, purchase of the shares and everything. So government is basically building constructing a building. So because of this, what is happening? Increasing in asset, right? Plus government is repaying the loan, that is reducing the liability, right? These are
Yes.
non-recurring in nature. Once done, you will not do again and again. So these are non-recurring in nature, and assets and liabilities of the government are affected, right? But here assets and
Yes.
liabilities of the government are not affected. Clear?
Hmm.
Quickly read it.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. Now coming to next one, development expenditure and non-development. So development expenditure directly contribute to the flow of the goods, and non-development expenditure indirectly contribute to the flow of goods and services. Here,
Yes.
development expenditure is productive in nature. It adds to the flow of goods and services. Non-development expenditure is not productive in nature. For example, over here you are doing expenditure on in agriculture sector, industries, transport. So this doesn't leads to inflow and all. Like this doesn't, this adds to the value. But over here, for example, you have this building, you are developing it, right? So because of this, what is happening, the goods of flow and services, it's not there, right? Plus it's not productive in nature. Here you are for contributing to agriculture sector, it is a productive thing, but here it is not. So that is non-development and it is development. Clear?
Yes. Okay, yes. Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the last one, plan expenditure and the non-plan. Plan are basically, for example, I am planning that I will generate electricity. I will, develop a road, a bridge. These are planned. But sometimes what happen, natural calamities are there and all the houses over there, like they demolished. I need to construct those houses again, that are non-plan expenditure. So this is
Yes.
basically it is within the scope of government plan, but it is out of government plans, scope of government plans. It shows
Right.
expenditure to be incurred on project covered under the central plan, but it are not under the central plans. Expenditure on electricity, rural development, sorry, roads, bridges, etc. And here, for example, the earthquake victims are there, construction of house demolished due to floods, etc. That comes under non-plan. Okay.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Simza, I think tomorrow also you will be joining. No, tomorrow is. Yeah, you will be joining.